It all started with a secret so heavy it made my heart pound even when I was just sitting alone in my living room, staring at the walls, phone tucked face down so no one could reach me. Imagine carrying something so huge, so life-changing, that you know if the wrong person even sniffed it out, your peace of mind, and maybe even your future would come crashing down. That was me. 27 years old, newly engaged, newly pregnant, and absolutely terrified. Not of motherhood, but of my family. Because here's the thing. Punishment and chaos weren't strangers in my life. They were the default setting. I grew up surrounded by 3 older sisters who treated emotional stability like it was an optional luxury. They screamed. They manipulated. They gaslit. It was like living with 3 storm systems constantly colliding over the same patch of land. Our family home. And our poor mother, a single mom who already carried the weight of the world just to keep us afloat, had spent decades absorbing the fallout. The guilt alone of leaving her behind in that mess still nips at me. But I had no choice. At 18 I bolted. 45 minutes down the highway. Just enough distance to breathe. Now, fast forward a little. 4 years. Doctors told me I'd never be able to do the one thing I always dreamed of. Become a mom myself. Endometriosis had carved that dream out of me like someone stealing chunks of a painting you've worked on your whole life. Never. Impossible. Unsafe. Those words branded me. I buried the hope, even when I met my fiancé M. This man who could make me laugh with a single raised eyebrow, who made me feel safe in a way that no one in my storm system ever could. But secretly I mourned. Every time I saw a stroller, a toddler with sticky jam hands, a mother rocking her baby on the porch, it felt like life dangling keys I could never touch. Then, November of 2020, I pulled out that little pregnancy test. Mostly to just cross the possibility off the list before another cycle of cramps stormed in, and 2 lines. 2 solid little red lines staring right at me. Full month already. My knees literally buckled. I hit the bathroom floor laughing, crying, hyperventilating all at once. M burst in thinking I'd slipped. And then, we both wept like kids, clutching each other tighter than ever. For the first time in my life, the universe felt like it had bent a rule in my favor. But here's the kicker: high risk. Stress was my #1 enemy. And doctors don't say stress lightly in these situations. In my case, stress wasn't just unpleasant. It was a trigger that could literally cost me the pregnancy. I was told point blank. No unnecessary conflict. No spikes in anxiety. No toxic environments. Which, in my world, translated to one grimly obvious directive. Don't tell the sisters. I told only my fiancé and my mother. That's it. Tight circle. No leaks. The less chaos. The fewer chances of anyone igniting one of their emotional grenades. And for 9 months, I guarded that secret like it was state intel. Do you know the relief of silence sometimes? Going through a pregnancy without random phone calls screaming at you. Guilt trips over nothing. Insults dressed as advice. The peace of just cuddling up at night with my husband's hand on my belly instead of flinching at every buzz from my phone. It was blissful. I gained not just a child on the way, but a serenity I never thought I'd feel. June 4th. I'll never forget it. Hours of labor, sweat and tears, then suddenly my son. Healthy. Perfect. His little cry hit me like a cathedral bell shaking my ribcage. I thought, I did it. Against everything they said. I did it. M kissed my forehead, trembling like a man who just dodged lightning, because we both knew how fragile this could have been. But here he was, a living miracle. We took a breath. A week. Then 2. We built a tiny cocoon of joy. Midnight feedings by the soft glow of a lamp, whispered laughter over diaper disasters, baby skin against my chest. My mother visited, her eyes shimmering with pride and relief. She whispered, "I don't know how you did it without telling them, but I'm so glad you did." And she was right. It wasn't just survival. It was protection. But then, like all storms, my sisters found out. About 3 months later I messaged them. Not asking permission, not apologizing. Just informing. I had a baby. The reaction. Nuclear. Call after call. Voicemail after voicemail. angry crying, which, let me clarify, these women never do. Tears weren't their usual weapon. They preferred claws. But this time, they sobbed. Real or performative, I couldn't tell. They wailed that I'd excluded them from the biggest moment of my life, that they would have never stressed me out, sound familiar? That I'd stolen the joy of throwing a baby shower, robbed them of beautiful memories. And worst of all, they claimed I was punishing my child by keeping him from his aunts. I sat there with my phone vibrating off the coffee table, my baby snoozing peacefully on my chest, and I couldn't help laughing. Not a bitter laugh, an incredulous one. Because suddenly, their outrage hit me as the punchline to the longest-running joke of my life. These were the same women who screamed me into panic attacks, who tossed out lies and manipulations like candy. And now, they wanted to pretend they would have magically become nurturing, gentle, non-toxic cheerleaders through the most fragile 9 months of my life. Well, not buying the rewrite. And here's where the revenge threaded in. Not in some fiery confrontation, but in the elegance of absence. They wanted power. They wanted to be gatekeepers in my pregnancy, to make it theirs, like they make everything theirs. By not telling them, I stripped them of every opportunity. No overbearing hospital visits. No snide remarks during baby showers. No solicited or unsolicited advice. No tears hijacking the spotlight. When they finally found out, the game was already over. The baby was already here. Healthy. Loved. They had no control left to cling to. Nothing they could twist. No part to play. And listening to their angry sobs on loop, I realized my silence had been the sweetest retaliation I could have ever devised. It wasn't malicious, it was defense. But it was also poetic justice. Because for once, I gave myself what they never had. Boundaries. Ironclad ones. And the result was everything they couldn't stand. My joy uninterrupted, my family intact, their roles irrelevant. It didn't just feel like revenge. It felt like reclamation. For my mother too. Watching her cradle her grandson, free from the circus, without worrying if one of her older daughters was about to drop a grenade of drama. That was healing. For all of us. So when I look at my son now, cooing at the ceiling fan like it holds the secrets of the universe, I don't feel guilty. Feel proud. Proud that I finally said, no, not this time. And that simple 2-letter word carved a whole new life from the wreckage of the old one. Because sometimes revenge doesn't come in flames or fury. Sometimes it's the calm, the silence, the moment you choose joy over chaos, and you watch the storm rage outside your window, powerless to touch you any longer. And now, if you've ever had to keep your own peace by locking the door on toxic family, you know exactly how sweet this feels.